Thank you all for tuning into the VRARA Association MENA Chapter Education Trip. As we focus on the students' learning outcome, we understand that the best learning happens when children are actively involved in a learning experience. Collaborative learning encourages students to share ideas, interact, and utilize one another's skills to learn together. This helps the participant develop their articulation, social, leadership, negotiation, and conflict resolution skills. It also creates an active and solution-centric learning experience, helping them to foster empathy, appreciate diversity, and encourage teamwork. Virtual reality has emerged as the ultimate medium for delivering collaborative learning. No other methodology even comes close in impact. The fact that no other physical or geographical boundary stands in the way of this technology is reason alone for its huge impact. Add to that the element of safety and cost effectiveness, and you have a win-win combination. I'm pleased to be joined by Matt Chacon, the CEO of Rumii VR, to shed more light on this. I have known Matt to be extremely passionate about education, driving some greatly impactful initiatives. Hi, Matt.
Thank you for joining my talk today. So this is truly wonderful to have you all here. This is going to be a pragmatic reality check on what is working and what is not working in immersive education. This talk is a culmination of my 4+ years running an award-winning and globally adopted virtual reality and training platform named Rumii. So, who am I and why should you care? Well, here are my stats. If you'd like to learn more, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Okay, let's get going. So if you're unfamiliar with Rumii, it is our VR education and training platform that's been adopted by over 7,000 institutions around the world since 2016. In the 4+ years since we first released Rumii, we've learned a lot. So let's get into those learnings. Let's talk about the bad first. After COVID-19 hit, the world did not rush to adopt spatial computing solutions for remote work and learning. Instead, they leaned into the same old, same old. Why? Well, because it was just easier than adopting an HMD that requires you to sideload anything useful other than gaming or entertainment. And as a result, our industry still has an uphill battle. But it's not all bad. The spatial computing market is growing. And while people are now comfortable with remote work and learning, investment may have slowed in all industries simply because investors are in a cash conservation mode, and that actually gives us an opportunity to build stronger companies that are customer-funded businesses. So while immersive education isn't the go-to solution that most of us projected or hoped it would be, it is proven to work in very specific situations. But before we look at where immersive education and training is adopting, let's get a reality check of the current market. So in 2016, when we first started our company, it was estimated that the VR education market had generated around $187 million in sales. And that by 2021, we'd see total VR education spending surpass over $1.5 billion globally. The reality is that in 2020, and with a global pandemic that's forced us all to retreat to our living rooms to work and learn, we've only generated an additional $493 million in sales. So are we to believe that by some miracle of fate that we'll see an increase of over $1 billion by the end of next year? I definitely don't think so. I think the raw reality is that while spatial computing in education is a good market, it's just not yet a market at scale. However, people are adopting it, but just not in the way that we would like. So let's look at some more specific learnings that are a little bit closer to home. So since starting my company in 2016, I've never had one person ask me to build them a full body avatar, a VR environment with couches and chairs, or put more keyboards into their spatial computing environment. And yet we can point to immersive experiences where these things are all the norm. But why though? Why are we recreating the real world when we don't need to? I think part of the reason is that spatial computing has not yet reached a tipping point is because of global adoption, is because we go out of our way to make these experiences just plain corny. So this is my plea to all of you. Please stop replicating the real world in virtual reality. There is no need to do that. In spatial computing, we are not bound by Newtonian laws of physics. Every ceiling can be a floor, and every floor can be a ceiling, every wall a work surface. In fact, we don't even need walls or ceilings. My spatial computing environment can be a tesseract if I so choose it to be. So stop constraining yourself to the real world when you can create a heaven of unlimited possibilities. Just do not sink into that quicksand of limited imagination. We have access to an incredible amount of talent and imagination in our industry. So let's use that to build experiences of high value that do more than just replicate the status quo. If you don't actively dream about these possibilities, you will never succeed in reaching them. So let's look at the top 3 things that our customers have been asking for. Number 1 is skills-based training environments and content, like how to perform automobile maintenance. Number 2 is analytics that show student engagement. And number 3 are improvements in online course completion and student retention for complex or just plain boring subjects. We've learned that our customers want specific skills-based education and training, not general platforms for teaching. We also don't focus on making every customer happy. And I know that sounds strange, but hear me out. How we focus on our most active customers helps us meet the needs of all of them. Simply put, we focus 80% of our time servicing only 20% of our most active customers. This is a good strategy, and I believe it can help you too. And this strategy has helped us solve the pain points of our most active customers. If they're having the same problems and we solve only for those problems, then there's a very good chance that we're solving the problems of all of our customers. And we've learned that our customers need a few things: features and functionalities for teaching simple, complex skills like vehicle maintenance or how to perform vector math calculations in game design. Now, for math instructors, it's very difficult to be successful when trying to teach about Euclidean vectors on a 2-dimensional whiteboard. But it becomes much easier for the instructor and far less painful for the student when they can both immersively interact with a 3-dimensional Cartesian plane in real time as part of a vector math instruction. The instructors are able to then identify learner gaps in the moment and immediately correct them. And in the time of COVID-19, people still need to see their mental health providers. As a result, our own new users increased over 1,400% when the pandemic started. And VR is an ideal use case for this in a specific mental health capacity. And small, private, and secure conferences are still a mainstay of our platform. So while people do ask us to host conferences with hundreds or even thousands of users, the reality is that no one is going to attend a spatial computing conference on this level. We're just not there yet as an industry. Now, as an industry, we do host events at this magnitude, but not the conferences of yesteryear. Each of these use cases employ the same features and functionality of our platform, and there's no one-off developments. Because we're not solving for every problem or trying to boil the ocean with a hodgepodge of new features and functionality, we've been able to provide a very high degree of stickiness. As a result, people spend 30 minutes or more in Rumii per session. And we've also been able to show improvements for our most active customers on their student progression through their focused skills-based training and education. How? It's simple: immersive monotasking. That's it. So stop spreading out your finite resources across too many work streams. Maximize your impact by focusing on a few critical areas that solve the pain points of your most active customers and will yield the greatest results. When building and selling into the education and training markets, try to do some things. Identify the resistance to buy gates and negotiate around them. So those might be IT departments that require a detailed security audit, or the accounting department might be on an OpEx versus CapEx model. Whatever they are, find them and negotiate around them. Target the innovation labs and R&D labs where the resistance to buy is much lower. Target the library services and technical labs of high schools, colleges, and universities, and target the departments that own the hardware and software budgets. A good thing to do is offer a freemium model that will auto-convert to a paid monthly subscription. But most of all, and I can't stress this enough, listen first and sell second. Do that, and you are virtually guaranteed to be successful in deploying spatial computing solutions in the education and training markets. That's it. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Matt. Many developers are bringing programs that are device agnostic in order to minimize investment. Do you see this as a step increasing XR adoption rates?
I think providing a frictionless experience to adoption is very important. So try to target the devices that people already have and don't require them to buy something new. We call that taking a crawl, walk, run approach. Let them experience it, you may be using their phone or their computer, and if they like it, then they'll go into something more immersive, like a head-mounted display.
Thank you, Matt. Students who have social anxiety can feel more comfortable in a VR environment with the confidence to excel and explore unhesitantly. How would you add to that?
So one of the most common things that we've heard from our users, students especially that consider themselves introverts, is this. They really like having the mask of an avatar, because having the mask of an avatar has helped them open up and become just more open in their environments and more social than they would otherwise be in real life.
Thank you so much, Matt. Great talk.